Well, welcome to today's ITAM Kitchen. Appreciate everyone being here. We have some special guests on here. As promised, we have Patrick Duffy. My brain's going blank because I had system problems again, but here we go. But sometimes that's how it works, right? We have our opportunities and how we put that forward. And I don't know why I'm looking for initial participants, but we're always looking for more. If anybody wants to join, come join in. But where I'm going from this standpoint is today our topics is about job descriptions and the craziness behind it. It has some dialogue behind it because Rob, Patrick, and myself as examples, and then there's lots of you out there. I've been talking with everyone on a regular basis, and we're all having the same problem. We got these job descriptions galore. It's like, where'd you dream up these from, right? So you've heard me as far as over the last several weeks or months. There's Deanna. I'll add Deanna to it. Is looking to say, okay, how do we make sense of this? How do we put roles that are really attuned for us so we can actually help promote what we do as a specialty? And not saying that we don't want to help in other ways, but there's always so much we can do, right? If you want somebody who's going to be that unicorn, okay, we're going to do asset management, software asset management, CMDB. We're going to configure the system. We're going to clean the toilets. We're going to go ahead and pick some noses along the way of our leaders.
Throw in their discovery admin too.
There you go. Okay, absolutely. Yes. For a 500,000 person environment. Okay, really? Yeah. For one person.
Oh no.
Exactly. But I went really extreme to get the point across. This is kind of the stuff we're seeing in different forms. We're having fun with this as we're going to, but being able to say, okay, let's look at this more strategic. And that's the whole idea. So the whole idea behind this is to understand, okay, look a little bit, see what we've been seeing and have those discussions. And I have some job descriptions even that I've had come to me, and I'm going to put those up there and you guys can talk to them. We can try share them apart, whatever, as examples. But also being able to go that next step. But before I get through all that, because I just jumped right into it and you guys have no idea who I am. I'm Bill, Mr. Bill, that recovering IT practitioner that cannot shut up is the best way to put it. We have a lot of fun, but that's the best part of it. 30-year practitioner, one of the founders here for the ITAM Kitchen, and we have a blast on our topics. And the ITAM Kitchen is about that, the topics like these, to have collaborative discussions in a forum that we really don't have. We're broadcasting. We're literally broadcasting on. I've got LinkedIn and we have a YouTube channel, and I'll put the note for the YouTube channel, because if you can connect with the YouTube channel, that's awesome. Because honestly, we're trying to get it flowing. I'll be brutally honest. And if you can connect to it, that's great, because the more connections we get, it just helps move that forward. But the whole idea behind it is have a collaborative community. There's people that want to be out on their own, et cetera. I applaud you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. If you like to do that, awesome. I love to be around people. I didn't know that when I started, but I'm a people person, right? And put that in place. But that's enough about me getting started a little bit about the kitchen. But let's go round robin. Whoever wants to start, I'll let you guys jump in. These are all friends of mine. I'll put it that way. And we're just talking about the same topic and put it forward. So, Rob, you want to kick it off? Go for it.
Yeah, I'll start. I'm Rob Collins. I've got over 30 plus years of experience within IT support, IT management in a series of areas. Veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and that's basically it for me. And I've done hiring and firing of folks within ITAM communities, within the positions and organizations that I've been in before. Next.
Yeah, I'll go. Patrick Duffy, 20 plus years in IT asset management, similar to Rob, been around it all, hiring, the firing, building teams, maturing programs, process improvement, right? Looking at how we get better, how we can make it all better. And building those partnerships with stakeholders, the end user community, right? We touch everything. So, been doing that for forever. I like to say I was doing ITAM before Sam was cool. So,
Very.
So, pleasure to be here.
You were doing leasing was cool. That's when you were doing it.
Yeah, leasing. Yeah, leasing was what brought me into all of this. So,
Good morning, Deanna Hennigar. I also have over 30 years of ITSM and asset management. Luckily, I worked for very large companies, so global, and I kind of enjoyed that. There's a lot of excitement that you wouldn't get with a smaller company. So, okay, so
Exactly.
software, asset management, SACM, the whole 9 yards.
Well, that's when we start having fun, right? We roll up the sleeves and we get involved and start that collaboration, which is what we're talking about. That's why we love to talk. We figured out one thing with all the sessions we've had. Each one of us love to talk in different ways, which is great. And then on today, really the topic when it comes to treasure maps and job descriptions, because we're looking for that treasure. I'll be honest. We're looking for that treasure. We're all looking for different roles. It's not that you can say we're bored, looking for something different, et cetera, but this is one of the challenges we have in today's industry. There's no one helping say, okay, what do you really need? What's the real task you need to have completed? Don't look at the world, don't look for the unicorns, but say, okay, let's understand what those pains are. And we've been talking about that throughout for the past several weeks, because when I came to realization yesterday, we've been doing this now for 3 weeks. This is awesome. And I made a decision yesterday that I'm going to continue doing this throughout February. So we're going to continue on a daily basis. So from that standpoint, keep it moving. That's the whole idea. But where we're coming to on this one is I do have a couple job descriptions we're going to go through just to start talking through it and figure out where it is. So let me share a screen and figure out what the next step is. And we'll see how well this works or doesn't work. As I see what literally I was the 99.9% work part as far as getting the new system online today. That 0.1%, that's exactly what happened today. So if you ever feel like you have struggles, don't feel alone. That's the best way to put it. Don't feel alone at all. I'll struggle in different ways. Let's see, where am I? Okay, here we go. Let's get the correct. Too many computers this morning. I've only been touched about 4 to 5, and I'm in a 1,600 square foot house. So there you go.
Let's have a look.
So as we go through this, let me see which one comes up well. That doesn't work. Let's see what it does. Okay, let's look at that. Is when we start looking at this, right? Being able to see some of the things, hopefully that it's just a little bit of eye chart. See if I can.
A little bit.
But let me read it real quick because it's going to be a little bit. This is about they want a ServiceNow architect, and literally this is the entire job description. So you think you need a magnifying glass? So do they. Is the best way to put it, right? So I'm going to read off the required skills. 3 bullets. 3 bullets. Must be a senior level ServiceNow architect. And keep in mind, senior level ServiceNow architect is what's highlighted. Okay. Strong experience in ServiceNow architecture, design, and implementation. Okay. Ability to lead discussions and provide end-to-end solutions. That's the entire job rec. You know where that can go? Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's the entire suite.
Yeah.
It is. Everything.
And it's ambiguous.
Oh,
Well, exactly. It's like, okay, you might as well just go for, they call it ServiceNow, a CMA, a Certified Master Architect. It's like, go for a CMA, throw it in there at the same time, and you just run out. Because you're not going to find them, first of all. They're very difficult to work with. I've worked with several over my last couple of years. But that's just one example. How ambiguous can it get? And this could have been, okay, we're looking for asset management. We're going to do these 3 bullets. Similar, right? As an example.
so this was an asset management job description?
This came to me from, I think I had ServiceNow in my profile because I've done some ServiceNow work.
Yeah.
And this is what came back. They did the query. So one of my profiles, whether it was LinkedIn or I think one of the search engines out there.
Yeah.
In the job market. And they said, oh, ServiceNow? Okay, you're going to throw it at me.
Well, Well, yeah, and
Uh,
I think we've all been there, right? If whatever keywords play such a role in job descriptions now, right? Especially in this
Yep.
automated day and age, that you're going to get hit. Um, it information technology. I get hit with. So I've been hit with similar ones. Nothing this bland, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But I think that there's still so much confusion and lack of information around IT asset management that really the third the recruiting firms out there, and we've all had in-depth conversations with them. They don't actually know. Someone
Yeah.
goes and says, "Hey, I need someone in IT asset management." Usually, what their first question is trying to figure out what the heck IT asset management is,
Yeah.
which for us, right, is all ridiculous, because we've been in it for so long. But
mhm.
it's kind of it's so wide open.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And as I just put up this next profile, this next one,
Yeah,
they
make me put on my
specifically look
old
for
man
SAM Pro.
glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, as I look at this one, I'll just read it. I'll just go through it, right? They skills required: specific SAM experience, SAM team building. They want SAM Pro experience, evaluating accuracy of SAM Pro calculations in virtualized environments, evaluating accuracy of SAM Pro calculations, decision tree branch license metrics, reporting in SAM Pro, dashboards in SAM Pro, contract analysis for Microsoft, IBM, Oracle, SAP, Adobe. Okay, let's just add more to it. What yeah. Converting purchases into entitlements,
Yeah.
interpreting major vendor enterprise agreements to resulting in entitlements and options in licensing and usage.
Yeah.
It keeps going, right?
Does it say anything about contracts?
It wants to contract analysis.
Okay. Yeah, there it is right there.
Mm.
Contract analysis. It does include CI, automated discovery experience on the back end on the SAM principles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
So-
you're looking for a lot, right? Yeah.
So
Yeah,
here's
I
my
did-
question. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob. You go ahead.
It's just a real quick, and that is, I'd be interested in seeing what the salary expectations are
Yeah.
for the positions too, because you want
Ooh.
all of this, but you're willing to kind of
$5 an hour.
Yeah.
Well, the range is $45 to $52 an hour.
Okay.
That's it?
No, I'm joking. I don't know. But
Well, that's usually what you're running into. Yeah.
Yeah.
You are.
And being in the job market myself, right? This is this is what I'm seeing. But the question that I have here, where's the fine line between an asset management professional and a SAM Pro consultant? Because this reads like they want the SAM expertise, right? But they want the system development architecture type of role. And this seems, this is, for lack of better terms, it seems like you're looking for the unicorn again, right?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But let me ask one question, just because it's around SAM Pro. How long has SAM Pro been around?
SAM
5 years?
Pro,
5,
I wanna
6
say
years.
7.
I'm trying to think. And in the beginning, SAM Pro was really one of those tools that it wasn't very good. Like, many tools that come out in the beginning, right? You never buy the first year of a new car, right? Same thing. But I think it's, man, I'm confused as to what it actually is. Are they look?
Maybe they are as well.
Oh, I think they
Yeah.
all are. I think that's
Well,
the core
in
of
this one, I believe how I'm interpreting this one is I don't think this is for an end user role. I believe
Right.
this is actually working for a consulting organization.
back end. Yeah, implementation partner.
But even with that, okay, so let's go down that path. You're again looking for a unicorn. Some with all these skills, they want the ServiceNow, Snow Software, BMC, Aspera, Flexera. I mean, they're throwing all that in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're mixing it up because you could have someone out there who goes on and gets certified for SAM Pro by ServiceNow.
Yeah.
But having that certification doesn't mean you're an expert in IBM in all of the licensing and
Right.
contract
There's no
pieces
way.
that go in there.
Yeah.
It's two different roles.
You still have to partner with the vendor.
Maybe more. Because they have a business process in here too. Yeah.
Yeah, I see what they're doing here. And very similar to what you just showed in the last one, right? What they're really looking for is somebody that can do the interfacing between ServiceNow, for instance, and those tool sets that you see up there. So they're looking for an architect, and they're looking for somebody that can do the development on it. And they're casting sort of a broad net across the tools and the skills, probably because it's really hard to find people that are quite that specialized. And then of course the others are just more or less like, it's kind of a boilerplate thing, and they just want to catch as many, how would you say it, catch as many of the items listed as possible for the person that ends up getting the job. But their chances are, I don't think that they're going to appropriately compensate, but there's no indication here on that. But what it looks like to me though is definitely, yeah, we want somebody who's well versed and highly certified, and then to come right out when you're sitting in an interview, you say, well, what are your pain points? What are you really trying to accomplish for this position? And then that's when you get down to what the real problem is and what they're trying to solve on their end. And I think it's tool integration is what it is.
And we probably, from a unicorn perspective, you're talking probably for the individuals that could probably be close to the unicorns for this. But I'll point out me as an example, right? I'm probably pretty close to being able to help with this. That's awesome. But I'll tell you where it's going to struggle is I can do the contract analysis from a high level perspective, but knowing all the entitlements, et cetera, that's not my cup of tea.
Well,
just as an example.
Yeah. And for me looking at this, right, I can do this from the asset management side, right? I know what I need. I know I can help write the requirements that I would hand off to the SAM Pro consultant and say, go do this for me. Yeah. All of the analysis, looking at, going through contracts and looking at them, but let's face it, every time there's a new contract that comes out, there's a renewal, something has changed, right? Mm-hmm. So the learning curve starts back over again with each contract. There's, everybody wants the experts, and I understand that, but you've got to. I remember I worked for a company one time that we struggled with Oracle licensing. What do? We went and hired somebody from Oracle who was doing the licensing. It was the only way to grab that to find that, because nobody had it.
Or if you're coming from the negotiation or something like that, or even the Microsoft stuff, bring in Sasha as an example. That's automatic, right? Yeah.
Expertise by publisher.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to have someone who lives and breathes and eats it all day long.
I mean, could I probably help from SAP? I do, because I understand how it works. I've had a little bit of education on that. Do I understand the rest from a high level perspective? Absolutely. Can I help that part? But I also know that I need someone to roll up their sleeves and get a little bit more in the detail. I'll work with them. Absolutely. But it's not something, and I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal by any means. It's not something that I natively can do. Right. It's good to admit that. And that's what a lot of people don't do, is they like, yeah, I can do it. I can go. I see it all the time. People sign up for the role, right? They're certified, do it. They get kicked out within 6 weeks. They can't fill the role.
Well, there's a bit of sales. I just looked at this. There's a bit of sales in this too. Mm-hmm. Build customer relationships and winning add-on work. Yeah. So they're
consulting stuff.
Yeah, right. Always looking for those additional opportunities, and we've all been on the consulting side. That there's always that aspect to that. But there's a lot in here. Wow, that's a busy job description.
Yeah. Interface change management. I see that too. Some of that's like boilerplate.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, but I'm using it as an example because this is what we're talking about, right? How can we be successful? How can we make sure that we're successful and the other side's successful in addition? Because I just commented on something just recently. If anybody's following in the post I do on LinkedIn, it was somebody from Saudi Arabia did something like this. I said, it was about CMDB. I said, you're not going to be successful. There's no way. He says, well, this is what the customer's requiring. That was the response. Sure. It's like you need to pay attention to what I'm doing in the ITAM Kitchen. I actually did reference it because it's what I'm doing this. It's like, we've talked about this several times, and that customer needs to it's like, I'll be more happy to enable them a little bit more, but it happens everywhere. And keep in mind, Saudi Arabia, for all intents and purposes, is a new, when it comes to ServiceNow, that's a new environment for them.
Yeah.
Before that just happened like in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I was involved with some of that happening as far as that exposure. But Deanna, did you want to provide in that? I know the rest of us have been talking. I haven't been I'm trying not to talk over you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're muted.
When they're asking for so much, I don't think they know what they want to begin with.
Right.
They know they have a hole, and they're looking for someone. This doesn't look like a job. This looks like a Band-Aid to me.
Ooh, that's well put.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well
put.
Well, let me build on to that idea, because I think you're on there.
Uh-huh.
Is this an effort to put mitigate putting too many pieces in the head count, and we're just going to slam a bunch of stuff together and say that this is the one person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's dangerous.
Very.
Even in education, I told people when you go into college, don't keep taking the same instructor. You're only going to learn that person's mistakes.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
And a job description like this is telling you, hey, I have a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my 2 cents.
That's a good. I like that analysis. I hadn't thought about it like that, but you're right. The Band-Aid. That's a very good point. Okay, we've got a few more here to help us keep ourselves fresh. Okay, let me see if I can. You probably read the top one, but the key responsibilities of the eye chart here. So let me change the screen.
SAMPRO. Yeah.
Here.
That one there.
It's about optimization, and let me just share the screen. You can tell it's all live, guys. There's no fake.
There it is.
This was another ServiceNow.
It's an implementation expert for HAM and SAMPRO.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even with this was the entire job description, right? It's not bad. It's better than what we've seen so far. It's kind of in between. But you start adding a lot of these different parts. Okay, your ITAM person may or may not. They should know about CMDB. Absolutely. Know a lot about ITAM. Mm-hmm. That's going to be hit and miss. Integration frameworks. Sure. Right.
Well, I mean, looking at ITAM processes, right? You've got to have someone who's been on the ground, who's been in it, who's learned ground up, right? Has gone in, and there's a full-time role just doing process in this organization, it looks like, right? Because you got to sit down to assess it, and then you've got to build it out. And if you're looking for that technical implementation pro, does that implementation pro really want to go out there and sit down and talk about process and governance, and do they really know what goes into, Deanna's background here, right? ITAD, do they really know what decommissioning and retirement looks like? But this is, SAMPRO is obviously the call out in this one, but yeah, I just through my searches and where I'm at today, right? You're seeing this on everything, and it's
exactly,
you're seeing it's not just ServiceNow specific. I there was a job description that was sent that I had 99% of it, but what they really wanted, it was going back to the old asset management module, where the technical people, the admin people, because it was an infrastructure job, they wanted the admin people to do the asset management piece. And that's part of the reason why at least I got into this business, because back when I broke in, they were expecting those technical people to do that, and they didn't want to do that. All they wanted to do was fix and make things work, right? So, it's being driven by these companies, and whether it's unrealistic expectations or lack of understanding of what they're actually looking for.
It also depends upon the technology. It depends upon, so kind of like bullet number 2 we see on responsibilities. Lead the design, configuration, deployment of HAMPRO and SAMPRO modules. let me shred that for a second.
Yeah.
I'll just hit that line, right? When you talk about configuration, if you already have a ServiceNow team in place, you're not touching that system.
No.
Yeah.
You're not touching it at all, right? You might give them a guidance like, here's what I need to have changed, but there is no hands-on keyboard there, right? You might be able to play with dev a little bit and play with it, but that configuration, that's totally your hands off. Back to your point, Patrick, you were making is your technical team is totally different. And this is how ServiceNow has deployed their solution in general, right? You have a technical team doing the hands-on keyboard. You have your business process consultants and your other SMEs doing the rest of the activities in the back up front, doing the customer activities, right? And that's extremely critical. And again, I'm just hitting one line. I'm not even going through all the rest of them, right?
Yeah.
It almost they don't want to use ServiceNow. They want somebody to come in to teach them ServiceNow without having their own ServiceNow experts.
I see this stuff all the time.
Well, and this is. Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say there's another point to this too, and that is that, and in my experience, most of the customers that have tried to implement ServiceNow on their own, typically what they're trying to do is they're trying to cover functions like these, but only with the baseline module and nothing else beyond that. And they don't understand to fully do this, you do need to be able to extend and implement the HAM and the SAM Pro modules and the ITAM module itself. And so that's something that I've seen across the board. In this case, at least they've identified that maybe they've bought it already, and now they want somebody to go ahead and get that integration worked in and set their systems up around that, hopefully without any customization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. You're trying to minimize, but there's always tailoring somewhere. And by the way, I'm not trying to ignore the chat. I know we jumped right into this. I'm notorious for doing that. If you have any comments, etc., Curtis, Paul, I see you're online. It's awesome. Just everybody, tell us where you're from, because and tell us a little bit of what your skill set is, and contribute, please. We want your comments too. You're hearing four of us. I'll say we're on rants. Is the best way to put it. But we're doing it because the frustration that you're hearing, I'll just call it on that rant, is because this is things we deal with every day. And we're trying to figure out how can we further enhance our messaging to actually, okay, how do we fix this? And there's some, and this is going to be a multiple session topic that we're going to have to work through, because we're going to talk about actual job descriptions and helping standardize those. That's actually where we're headed. This is just things we're getting. So the whole idea is, okay, let's look at it. Let's shred a little bit. And then let's say, okay, what kind of roles do we really want to have, right? We have some suggestions to start from. So yeah, if you have anything you want to put in the chat, please keep it in mind. Put it out there. I will pay attention. Also, what's on LinkedIn. We'll just say it's a whole different task for me, but it's good. There's a reason why I have 3 screens, and I'm trying not to go into we have fun with technology in different ways. But no, for this, again, that was just one line, right? And okay, you have someone that's going to lead, design, deploy. You're doing training and documentation. You're going to help with the integrations. Again, you're looking for that unicorn. And I think most of us here would probably help with be that unicorn, but there's still provisions that's like, really? Do you really want to go through all this? Because when you talk about the platform doesn't support what this is asking for. And keep in mind, I'm a Peregrine Asset Center guy, and I can make that. I can make deployment, configuration, et cetera, and including integrations. I was the guy that did that because that's where I came from, and I was able to talk shop, whether it was the end users or whether it was management, and say, okay, what are we looking for, right? But you can't do that with the ServiceNow product.
Can you pull job description up to the front?
Yep.
On that slide?
Yeah.
You got it. Oh.
Wow.
This is a good one. Thank you for doing that, because you just identified something else on this one. That's perfect. I'm sure you see it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, you go. But they're looking for the implementation guy. I think.
Yeah.
And it was Rob. You brought it into me, right? This reads like someone bought ServiceNow, is trying to do this in-house themselves, right? and they're looking for quote unquote the unicorn that, but you're looking for two people. You're looking for an asset management person first of all,
Yeah.
but then you're looking for
Yeah.
you're looking for a member of your, we'll call it the ITSM team, which is what it's been called at other places, right? But this is the back end developer role, right? So you're looking at two pieces. They've put together two roles here, trying to consolidate it into that one unicorn.
Right.
So
Rather than hire a lead and let's say 2 or 3 engineers on the back end to support the activity.
So when I was quoting out projects for the last couple of years on ServiceNow projects, for this, what you're seeing here, this is between 3 and 4 people minimum, probably about 6 actually, between the onshore and offshore individuals. Typically, I have 1 to 2 people onshore. You have your project manager, and that could be offshore if you want to, or nearshore, right? You have your SME, as well as your architect. And they're 2 different people, right? You're putting it, and that's also a business process person kind of built into those 2.
Right.
And then you have your offshore team, or it could be nearshore as well, to say, okay, you actually do the configuration. And you'd have to have different teams, actually, a different team member to do the integrations versus actually working within the product. Again, that's how it's quoted. And customers are signing up for that all the time. I'm just using it as an example because that's reality.
Yeah, and I think that in the key responsibilities, I'm looking at this, overseeing the data migration, which is, I think, where we started with this one, right? Who's going to scrub the internal data and look at the internal data that they want to put into the system, right? Because we've all been in places. I know I was in a place where they just took a dump out of their procurement system, and I had everything from computers to paper plates and pens. So, someone has to be able to define what data you should be putting into, right? That's another role that has to be considered.
Oh yeah, wow. You got the business analyst too, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I like the pens and paper plates because then you're taking notes when you're not able to put it inside the system. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not Friday yet, but it's already started.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, so there's a lot of commentary there.
Wow, that's an interesting job description. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But literally, I just took that out of an email this morning. It's something I've received like in the last 2 weeks. Lack of people with process knowledge and experience, absolutely. And technology is trying to make it easier for you. Okay, here's from Lackey. There's lack of people with process knowledge and experience. Absolutely, 1,000% behind it. ServiceNow is trying to fix that on their side. They do have some best practice guides to start from. But as we know, it's not about reading the manual. You need the scar tissue to work through it and figure out, okay, how's it work in that environment, right? And here's another one from Curtis. The fact that the team of people is needed to do a service management in the ServiceNow should not indicate it's a flaw as a product tool. Absolutely. So I'm not saying that at all. It's just more about, okay, how do you look within it and complement those team members? I know I've been brought in to actually fix and bring on a CMDB before. And I was told by the individual leading it, it's like, okay, here's what you do, this, and this. And he says, no, that's not how I'm going to work. And I say, here's your requirements. Just go do it, make it happen. So nope, I'm going to figure it out myself. You need to tell me what your requirements are, and then I will determine and give you the outcome that I determine is acceptable for you.
Yeah. When in one of my roles, it was the ServiceNow was already in. It was built out based with no expertise on the CMDB side or the AMDB side, right? They did the best that they could to get it up and running.
Sure.
And when I went in there and started doing what I was hired to do based on what everybody told me through the process, it was met with some opposition because they were like, well, it's my tool. And I'm like, I understand that, but I'm the guy who's responsible for all of this, and this is how I need the tool to work. Here are my requirements. I would love to say that I was very successful at making that all happen. But where I should have been 100%, I was only probably about 50%. You pick and choose those battles, but then I hate to say this, but then you document those battles. And when someone asks you the question, why, you say, this is why. So, it's the tool ownership is always something that has to be navigated in our roles.
I think Alan just made a great point on this too, right? There's one thing to talk about the Kool-Aid, right, and buying the product and trying to figure out how the process fit the tool. It should be the process than the tool. I think we're in full agreement on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they do say, there's a huge push, keep ServiceNow out of the box. Huge push on that. Because it has been, there's many customers have over-tailored. They're having to do re-implementations.
Yeah. Maintain a catalog. If you maintain a catalog of each and every one of those alterations along the way, so that when the next version comes out, you can do the installations of each of those catalog items after maybe a quick assessment of whether or not you need the customizations. You should be okay, somewhat safe, but that's going to come with a great deal of risk around retesting things in a new environment and with maybe new features.
It's going to vary. For all sorts of different reasons, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good chatter happening here within LinkedIn. I love it.
Yeah.
So like Curtis Paul says, I can do all of it, but I love the butt. Watch out for your butt, right?
Yeah.
But ServiceNow makes it really, really hard.
Yeah. It's true.
Again, we're just using that because it's the gorilla in the room on that side, because that's usually what we're running into these days. And again, great product in many different ways, but sometimes the complexities of how we work as a team is we struggle with it. And that's I will say that is where I miss the Asset Center days on that part. Not that I wasn't a team player, but we could actually manage our system a little bit better and more fluidly. Okay, so. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe we're going crazy on time, which is awesome. Is this readable? More legible?
Yep.
It's another consultant type of role that came up. Again, my point was we have different descriptions, right? The requirements, the key responsibilities, similar type of thing we were just talking about. But this is all they provide in that job description. Again, these are emails, things I get all the time. And keep in mind, the top part of it is they want your name, rank, and serial number, the rate that's acceptable for you, and when you can start. And then they'll have this discussion, right? And it's like, guys, you're not even having a conversation, really. It takes me on that side. Okay, you're a recruiter trying to recruit people. You won't even talk to people or just shooting emails out. So each their own. Or texting. I get a lot of text these days, too. Okay, that's another one. Here's another one on again, they want knowledge. In this one, they want to do audit defense strategies, etc. There you go. Okay. Again, and these are things I get. So you guys probably get others. I was just providing examples of what just crosses my path on that side. But where I was going also is to say, okay, whether analyst, consultant, because you cannot really intermix those. It's not from that standpoint. But there's also about looking at the roles. Because what we've been talking about here is say, okay, from a consulting role, what is there, right? And with a consulting role, saying, okay, what else can we try to apply, and how do we standardize? How do we look at the overall arching roles and how they grow with each other? And that's what I've been working on. Is literally, I've been working on this probably since middle of last month, so 6 years. I've been working on it for years actually, but I've been trying to get more serious about it. And here's a little bit what I've been showing, right? Because you have your analyst, you have your specialist, right? Your SME, you have your technical consultant, you have a senior technical consultant, you can have a solution consultant who's actually helping scope the project, solution architect, right? Now let's talk leadership. You have the asset owner. You talk about who's the director or in charge of that practice, that area. It could be a VP. You have VPs out there. Okay, fine. I love the executive asset management. That's become a new one out there. I'm dying laughing on that. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to be an asset management executive. That's supposed to be called, but okay, to each their own. Not trying to mock it too much outside. Okay, it's a role. It fits that person. But let me show you a little bit what came out of my thoughts so far? And where are we on time? 45. So we got 15 minutes.
45.
Time is flowing.
It is, but this is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, there we go. So at a glance, and this is I was just looking at asset management. I wasn't looking at SAM. I have something similar for SAM and I have something similar for CMDB, but I don't think we're going to make it past this today. Mm-hmm. But when we start thinking about it, is thinking about the different roles involved. These were just kind of a brain dump. What's coming out, right?
Yeah.
And I started, because you start building the organization. I didn't make a hierarchy. Yeah, you could for this. That's fine. We'll get there. But when you start looking at it, I say, okay, let's start taking this and let's start put any comments, whatever comments. I'm totally cool with it, good, bad, or ugly. But you see where I have the level and the type of role, have examples of what it's involved, maybe the actual name you would person. And I put some experience in there. Okay, what type of experience and number of years of experience you're looking at, right? Whether it's specific in ITAM or IT, as well as leadership. Things you don't see in today's roles. But again, I'm trying to make it so we have a feasible solution and job descriptions where we can grow. Right. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So where do you guys want to take it? I'm being quiet.
I'd like to see the market rates.
Well, I don't even have the market rates on. Yeah, I didn't go after the market rates at that point.
Yes, I'd love to see it though, just to kind of give you a perspective, and I mean, the whole thing we're talking about right now, looking at the job descriptions when someone's seeking, right? That's the first stage in this whole process of setting the expectations all the way through hire. And I think it's like most things. If you think it from a negotiation standpoint, I'm coming in, I want absolutely everything I can get for the least amount of money possible, and then of course there's various positions in between that, well, I want them at high quality. All right, well then the money's got to be available. And, do I want the individual to be concentrating on specific areas within the description that I've applied? All right, well then there's some give and take around that as well.
Mm-hmm. No, it's all excellent points. Excellent points. And when I was thinking about when I was putting together, I've been delivery guy primarily, but I also do pre-sales. I can talk shop, right? And talk to the executives, make that happen. So you see the sales roles are kind of the bottom, usually they're at the top, like the solution consultant and the solution architect. The architect may be during the implementation too, depending on how you look at that architect role. That's where it's like, okay, let's look at this and being able to say, how many years do you really want and do you need within these different roles? Mm-hmm. And it's always critical because if you don't have the right amount of experience, your project's going to fail. Yeah. You don't want to be that next story to say, okay, we've tried this 3 times in 3 years and we need somebody from the outside to fix it because we can't get our act together. Yeah. We hear that all the time. I'm sure you guys do. I know I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or someone retires and we don't know what to do. And I mean, we didn't pay attention with the details because they handled it all for us. And they're good soldiers, but the transfer of knowledge to the next person didn't go well.
Was it documented?
Yeah. Poorly documented, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Documentation, like. What AI is for, right?
It was only a matter of time. You couldn't help yourself.
I couldn't because that's what we're getting. Well, keep in mind for a coder, I document everything I coded because what happens, I went from customer to customer and I couldn't, I put documentation in there. So when I went back, because they usually ask for me to come back to modify or enhance or something like that, I remember the business reasons why I did what I did, or if someone would follow up, they always knew. Mm-hmm. But I'm finding that trait doesn't exist today.
So I'm going to ask a question about, just bring something up here from an asset management perspective. How many director of IT asset management jobs do you see posted anywhere?
I've seen quite a few.
And I ask this because people get stuck on IT asset manager.
Yep, they do.
Right? And I'm looking at this, and should there be a director of asset? Oh, absolutely.
That's a good one. I like that. Okay.
There absolutely, but you
Yeah.
don't see the differentiation through the levels. I just did a search on Indeed really quick.
Yeah.
Typed in director of asset management. There's one, and it's almost indirect. It's only because it's work in asset management, right? You don't see those titles because I don't want to say people don't find them important, right? I don't think that's the case, but I don't know if there's the gravity that's put out there for these lead roles. We all you look at all of our resumes, we're all senior level people.
Yep.
Right? We're just based on time, right? But organizations don't call the role, they don't give it a director role. They just call it the IT asset manager, right? So I wind up getting contacted for analyst roles,
Yes.
the BA roles constantly.
Yeah.
Despite what my little elevator speech is on the front of it, my description, whatever the case may be. And I still go back to that. That's where I think part of the challenge is with asset management is that it still doesn't get the gravity. The role still is, I'm going to say, undervalued. I might be wrong in making
Oh,
it
totally is. Totally.
But I don't think it's given the gravity within an organization that it deserves. We're not counting widgets anymore. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars every day.
Yeah, and risk.
Well, that and the coordination and collaboration. Yeah. And to your point, I found this out last place. Sometimes you're not given the respect as far as amongst your peers unless you have that title.
Well, and that's the other side of that. How do you get to a director level when there's no director level? There's no director titles out there.
One of the things I found is they'll give you a SACM title. So it does all across the whole board, service asset and configuration management, before they'll give you director in a siloed area.
I have seen that too.
Yeah. And there's only one there's only one practitioner. Well, there's a couple consulting directors out there. I don't know what that means, but there's only one, what I would say, internal practitioner role out there with a director title on it on LinkedIn. So I just think that's, again, one of the challenges. And this is more broad than just a job description. This is an industry challenge that we have within IT, within wherever. Right, within the business world.
Yes. The big challenge there is, how do you sell ITAM to people that don't consider it important until they get the audit letter? That's a great topic for a session sometime.
Yeah. And the art, this is not just about job descriptions. This is a hierarchy challenge within a company, right? Because when you sit down and you as the IT asset manager, when you need to go, I hate to say this, but when you have to go have a fight about your discipline, your program, the manager role does not bring any heavy with it. You have to go find your leadership to bring the heavy to the conversation at times, right? I could be wrong in all of this, right? But this role needs to mature, not only in title, but it also has to mature within the organizations itself.
I'm taking this as we go. Absolutely, and that's I'm glad you brought that up. Again, sometimes you can't see the forest for the weeds, for the trees, right? It's like so much in front of you. All of a sudden, you say director. It's like, okay, so that was a great example. Is there anything else that comes to mind with anything you see here on the screen, right? And say, okay, what else can we further hand? Because I mean, we're getting here at the top of the hour, which we talked when we first started. We knew there's no way we're going to get through all this, which is great. This is going to be a multi-session as far as here.
I think in that the senior analyst roles, right, the way that the way that this discipline is growing, right, you're going to have to have ham people. You're going to have SAM people, right? Monitoring licensing usage, for example, that could be a full-time job in any organization, right? but you also, in order to do that properly, you have to have some tools in place and some integrations in place to be able to go out and do that, right? So, but you know, the specialist that you have listed there, that could be Sam Ham. Now I'm the guy who thinks that everybody should be well-rounded and you should have a team that can, you know, dive in where you need them, right? Depending on what the situation is, right? An all hands on deck type of situation. But, you know, I think one of the things that we see all the Sam Pro stuff with ServiceNow, right? And that's where the discipline is focused on right now, because licensing is an issue, no question about that, right? But there's, you know, that SAM analyst still needs the ham analyst, because that software, those applications are installed somewhere, right? So there still has this, and you know, that's where we come in as leaders in this discipline, to say, hold on a second, we've got to get all the people to connect these dots.
Yeah. So, and to your point, your analysts may have experienced one or the other, and they're taking on part of that role. That's okay. We're not saying otherwise, right? Right. That's value add, but we need to be able to articulate and say, okay, how can we, if we're going to split our time, let's understand what we're splitting our time with, versus just taking it all, which has been the problem we're having today, right? Similar to some of the job descriptions we saw. Okay, you have an entire kitchen sink, and you have the bathtub, and you've got the bathroom sink. It's all in there, right? Including the outdoor sink. It's really cold right now for most of us. And it's like, okay, let's throw it all in, and somehow we're going to make vegetable soup out of this, right? We're going to make it all work, and we're going to track our assets. I totally messed that up, but we did a really good job on that. But the whole idea is, okay, how can we further drive that? And that's where I want to take the discussion. So this is perfect. It's a perfect little transition. As we come here at the top of the hour, it's hard to believe we're already there, but that doesn't surprise me, because I've had all of you as guests before. We go forever. That's the best part about this. We're able to talk. But as we wrap this up in the last couple of minutes, any final thoughts you want to throw on this as we wrap up for this? And this is not the end of the discussion. This is the end of for today's session. Let me make that very clear. I don't know how long this one's going to last, but we'll figure it out. We'll make it more methodical, so everyone knows from the timing when we're going to bring this up. Because I don't want to do this every day. I want to salt and pepper this in with what the other topics we have coming in, because we literally can work on this an entire month, and probably in the workshop, things like that. And we'll have more on some things going through our brains on that very soon. But final thoughts. Let's just do a little bit of roundtable on what you see, or thoughts, or just the problem at hand, because this problem statement is going to be critical to actually help us figure out what our solution is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can start us off if you want.
Go for it.
Briefly, the two perspectives, right? The job seeker and the person who is putting out the job description, seeking an employee to fit the role. Everything, of course, is going to be on the page, and nobody can realistically be expected to meet all of those expectations. So there's going to be a negotiation and a balance. By the time you get to interview, you work through some of that, and you get to the realistic pain points, and then you can leverage what was been asked for against that to say, we'll have a happy medium, and then when someone is entering into the job, there'll be some appropriate level of negotiation, compensation, etc. You know, with the other things being left for considerate scope, within scope will be the stuff we're going to proceed with. Anything out of scope, we can address as we move forward with this thing. So, final thought on that.
For the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go. You know, I think it's great to build this out and give us a picture and put it in front of our face, right? I'm a visual guy, so seeing that documentation helps tremendously. But it also identifies a lot of the gaps and brings up other questions, other directions, right? To your point, this is going to be an ongoing, you know, we can't solve this in an hour. We're not going to solve it probably in a month, you know, because there's other things to attribute to that. I think, Rob, to your point, I think, you know, going through a job and going through the process of sitting down with people, I think the challenge that we have today is that we have to, during that process, we have to navigate the questions of what they're actually trying to do, and pinpointing those pieces and what's the absolute requirement versus, down the road nice to haves. Because if someone has it in their head that they have to have every single one of those points, then there's going to be a challenge because, either someone's going to have to lie and say, yes, I can do that all. And I know my limitations. There are things that I just can't do. And have made that statement. Because the last thing I want to do is get in there and say, yeah, I can do all of this. And then all of a sudden the timeline is a month and
Right.
it's impossible. Right. So you have to understand that. You have to try to uncover that when you start to have those discussions and come up with a quick plan on how it all works. So, again, the job description, seeing those all laid out, I think that's probably the best list I think I've ever seen, Bill.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, because it just doesn't exist yet. And now it does. So, and I'll just sign off on that. Yeah.
Or is it 1.0 or 2.0? However you want to look at it. Yeah.
So,
Deanna, any thoughts?
Yeah. I would like to know, like when you do the discussion with the companies, why do you feel one person can accomplish all of the items you have in your job description? Because I know you're looking for something and you may not know what it is. So when they said, when Bob talked about negotiations, this would be another thing I would bring up. You're just asking me to show you your gaps. Your job description showed me all the gaps you have.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I'd bring up, especially when Patrick said your time frame. You can't do this in a month. I've been in areas where it took Deloitte over a year to do something because of the pushback of the employees.
Yeah.
And they just kept getting paid because the employees were pushing back. So there's a lot more nuances than we are actually seeing. So those are my thoughts on this.
And I appreciate all the contributions here, even online. So I'm seeing a lot of things coming in from everyone, even commenting here in the chat. That's awesome. So keep it coming. Absolutely. If you want to DM me on the side within LinkedIn, feel free. Because again, this is not going to be done, just to your point, in a very short period of time. This literally is, I opened Pandora's box. I know I did. Absolutely did. But that was on purpose, because we've got to get our arms around this, because this has been a problem that's been going on for a while. And I thought I said no more. I said no more, right? And it's like, let's just dive into it, make it happen. Had the opportunity and have some different experiences I've gained in the last couple of years as well, even from a global service provider side, that I saw where they messed up. And we're trying to work on this. And they were messing up the same thing. Put senior individuals will literally, so you put senior resources in there and say, oh, well, they just got trained last week. How can we work through this, right? And it didn't help the customer. The customer suffered because of it. Again, you hit it from multiple different angles, and we can even say we're on process consultants in here too. We can go there too if you want to, right? But we go as crazy as we want to, but that's not my purpose. My purpose is to say, let's figure out how we can foundationally say, here's something we can put a bow on, start from, so we can start talking the same language. Because when we start thinking about this, think about how easy it's going to be to talk to executives to say, you know what, we need X, Y, and Z resources. They're not cookie cutter. I get it. But these are the team members you need in order for your team to be successful. That's huge. We can't do that today, right? Not easily. We can talk to it and probably talk to any of us. We'll figure it out. Here's the roles, X, Y, Z. But you still need that skill set. I can't say, here's the job description to help fill that in. Can't. Yeah. So we're really over time. I went by 4 minutes. So my apologies on that. But it was a good discussion. Started a little late. Tomorrow, I'm going to do my darndest to get the technology actually working on the smart board. I've been trying the entire week, and so like a 99.999 and a 0.1% kicked me in the butt. But really appreciate everyone's contributions here. This has been great. Tomorrow, what I'm going to be doing, just for a kind of heads up, I'm going to summarize where we've been for the last 3 weeks.
Great.
Because we've had a lot of coverage in the last 3+ weeks. A lot of good content. And I'm also working to say, here's where we're going to go next as we talk go into February and make that happen. So tomorrow's going to be a kind of a wrap up for the month, but just kind of where we are. It's kind of a milestone to say,
Yeah.
okay, here's what we've accomplished so far. So
Yeah.
that's what we look forward to tomorrow. Look forward. Anybody wants to help contribute towards that, feel free to chime in. And I appreciate help making this happen. And let's make ourselves successful, because we're all trying to do the best thing, but we're actually talking about it now. And that's the best part.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thanks everyone. You have yourself a great rest of the day, and we'll see you later. Talk to you then. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Stay warm out there.
Yeah, definitely stay warm.
Stay warm.